Hello and welcome everyone here at FEMA Elite Center, the launch of the FEMA Elite Center here in Namma, Bengaluru. And I'm really delighted to have all of you here today to join us in this lovely panel discussion. I'm really excited to hear all your insights and listen to all the great thoughts about bathrooms and the innovations happening in the industry right now. So I'm Ashita Chadda. I am the founder of the Karigars, an interior design firm. I founded it in 2010, and we do residential luxury projects in Bangalore. And I would love to have each one of you introduce yourselves.
Right. So, firstly, thank you for having me. This is Prajwal from Aure Architects. We are a premium design firm into a multidisciplinary firm. We do architecture, structures, and interior design based out of Shankapuram, Chamarajpet.
Welcome, Prajwal.
Yeah, myself, Anil Katare. So our firm name is Vision Creations. We are architects, designers, and come structural work also we do. So we are doing more of high-end bungalows and apartments. Now we have started with institutional projects also. So our office is based out in Sahakar Nagar. So we are more passionate about our customers with the kind of touch and the luxury is all about us.
Welcome, Anil. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Myself, Naveen from D Square Architects, founder architect of D Square. We are located in Indiranagar. We basically do residences or rather villas and luxury residences.
Welcome.
I am Nikita Kakkar. I am the principal architect at Art Foundry. So we are into residential architecture and turnkey interiors, as well as into infrastructure. So
Lovely. Welcome, Nikita. I was just having a short discussion with all of these people before we started, and I would like to add one small element about each one of them. So he is someone who really enjoys competition. He never likes to lose. So that is who Prajwal is. Anil is super passionate about his work, about projects, about life in general. So that is who Anil is. Nikita is likes to be called the one who does it all, misachieve it all. Naveen is the one with the never say die attitude. So I'm really excited to listen to what all of you can bring onto this forum here together. So just to let everybody know that today we are talking about, bathrooms beyond pools and what it means in today's world. So my first question to all of you today is technology. Everybody today is talking about technology. AI has taken over all of our lives, and every day there are some new tools we need to learn. But what is your take on technology, and what do you think how technology is changing our bathroom experience in today's world? Would you want to start, Naveen?
Sure. Whether it's about technology or not, or not, even if you're talking about the basics of bathrooms, we need to make sure we need to collaborate all the elements what we use in a bathroom, whether it's the tiles, plumbing, fittings. And now, yes, technology is a major factor. Whether it's AI, whether it's automation, we need to make sure we are finalizing these components first and then go ahead with the design so that the final bathroom is a cohesive unit of all the elements put together.
Right, I agree. So Nikita, I would like to ask you, he talked about how, we need to collaborate with all different kinds of people. So how I would think we would need sound engineers, we would need, the tile specialists, the lighting, the automation. Who other people would you think would have to get involved right from the planning stage to be able to create that kind of experience today?
see, for me, going by my experience, I think every single thing has to be planned in advance before you get into execution. I mean, then architects get blamed for breaking and then redoing things. But if you've planned it all in advance, it goes very smooth. So, of course, lighting, very crucial. The client needs to understand what all do they need in the toilet. Is there any experience that they're looking forward to? I mean, everybody would love a spa-like toilet with a, meditative lighting. And of course, you need to have a good lighting when you're shaving or things like that. So how to take care of those elements? I think we should plan it all in advance.
Lovely. Would you like to add anything, Prajwal?
Absolutely. I think God lies in the details. So the smaller bits of the bathroom or any space, actually the detailing is very important. And also with the ever-evolving world, AI coming into picture, I think we are in a very exciting time where, things are just going to happen with just a snap of a finger or maybe just a voice command. So I think it's very soon that we're going to just give a voice command and we're going to start having, very warm water pouring in from the shower, something like that. So when we talk about technology, all of this is going to be integrated because of this and giving a wholesome experience to your client. So I think this is how it's going to be taken forward. And I think we should endorse it and accept it and move on with it.
I'd like to add.
Lovely. Sure, please, Anil.
So as we speak about technology and AI, so we are interconnected with our how we grow up. So we are associated with rock, water, sand, mud, and fire.
Right.
So I did one project for he is a CEO of Meta for South Asia. He was heading for 18 countries. So he was like a traditional Brahmin. So we have done like luxurious bathroom. So his requirement was like ande ole. So ande ole means Kannadದಲ್ಲಿ in Kannada, there will be a big copper vessel like pot. So we'll put water in that. That will be heated with the logs.
Okay.
So if you are taking bath in that, that is a different word experience. So instead of all luxury, we added this also. So this is like out of word for me. He was like very happy. So this is what, like, if you are growing with the technology, we need not to lag behind these traditional things.
What a beautiful point you brought across. I mean, this is something I think each one of us dwells with these kind of thoughts as designers, as architects, as to how much of the culture to bring in, how much of the technology, and how can we marry both of these together. Thank you for bringing this up, Anil.
So no matter how we proceed with future technology, but this takes away the beauty. Means we need to get touch with the traditional things.
Absolutely.
That creates memories. That is with the heart touching thing.
Absolutely. So beautiful. I would want to ask one question based on the story that you just related. So because this particular client was very clear of what he wanted, so you were obviously, you would have added your own, knickknacks to it and stuff like that as the architect, but you were able to make that dream into a reality. So this is how we learn from our clients. Is there any experience that, you guys would want to share about something that you've learned from a client like that, which has completely changed how you view design, architecture, or something that you yourself would not have thought about? Any one of you would want to take this up?
So I had a very recent experience, and I would not name the brand, but that brand makes a tap, which is supposed to be for an under-counter sink. So when you're washing your hands tend to touch the back of the wash basin because the tap was so not deep. And I'm talking about a very good brand, I mean, we didn't just go by anything. And so that obviously made me learn that how brands have also not taken care of such small little things. While that was so important for the client, and she literally went to the brand store, asked them that how could you even make such a product? Like, you're a big name. But of course, you can't blame them. You have to be smart while you're selecting. And small little things add to the life. What's the distance from the tap? What is the tap dimension, etc. So these add value.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now I would want to switch, a little bit and go back to the bathroom space. Even though bathrooms are extremely private spaces, I think a lot of us get euphorias in the bathroom, under the shower, all the great ideas. You plan your day in the morning. Many people read the newspaper. That is our private space where no one can actually come in and disturb you and
we can say peaceful place.
Be with your thoughts, right? But having said that, even though it is a private space, it's also a shared space. You kind of won't really, not many people have a bathroom only to themselves that, only they are using. So as designers, how do we create a space which is private and, shared in the same way and still cater to every single person, who's going to use it? What are your thoughts on these?
See, in today's busy life, everyone is hustling. And families are smaller. Everyone is hustling. Everyone needs to go about their timelines. Absolutely a very valid point that a bathroom is not specific to a person, but to maybe a family or to a couple or going to be married couples, something like that. So it's very important to keep that in mind when you're designing it. At the same time, you can get that beautiful experience of actually using the bathroom at the same time together. So it's a very private thing, but you can get that beautiful experience. So when you keep that in mind, you will also consider the fact that sustainability also comes into picture. We don't waste unnecessary resources when it comes to that. And today the products that are so available helps us achieve that. Even if as designers we want to do it, we may not have the resources for it, but today, the evolving times, it has enabled us to also do that. Having own private spaces as your shower and your WC spaces segregated, multiple people can use it of the family together.
Okay. Naveen, would you like to add on to this element?
I would say I'll take a part of the question because these days, the way we design bathrooms, most of the rooms have attached toilets and each room is used by max a person or two, either a couple or an individual like a child.
Right.
So most of the times bathrooms are designed for a single person or at the max 2 people. So it's very customized if you ask me. Each bathroom is designed for probably that according to the character of that person or personality of that person. It's very, like if you take in a house, it's 1 or 2 bathrooms that's shared by the entire family, like a common toilet or a powder room. But otherwise, if you ask me, each bathroom is designed for that specific person.
Interesting. He brought up sustainability. I think no discussions today can, be complete without talking about sustainability, especially with the water crisis that we are having in Bangalore right now, all over the world, not only Bangalore, right? But other than, using taps and cisterns and, stuff which are more water efficient, are there any other ways, Anil, that you see you can bring sustainability into the bathroom?
So yeah, I would say we had to give importance to natural air and sunlight to come in so that your bathroom will be always dry. So it will be hygiene so that they will not be able to spend most of the water in the cleaning the toilets. That, and I would say it will be one thing. And the other thing is the design of the fixtures. It should be in such a way, it should be self-draining system. So where there should not be any water logging, something like that, where the water scales will form. Later on, it will take most energy and water to clean it up. So, and plus avoiding glasses in the washroom where you will get stained easily and cleaning them is a bit tougher. So I would say we should use more of the natural element in the toilets. That is how.
Okay, so if you are saying not using glasses, what is the other options that today? Because
there are a lot of options. We can use stone thing. Only door can be like a glass. We will have you can use stone also as a door. There are multiple options.
Okay, Nikita, would you want to add any other pointers?
I really like the idea of having the motion sensor taps. They save water big time. And other than that, I think using vernacular materials, using stone, using products which are easy to clean. Other than that, also I feel rainwater harvesting when it comes to a bigger project. Not just that, we have a lot of wastewater in the house and how can we reuse it, especially for flushing? I mean, that's one place where it's a no-brainer. All the water coming from ROs, etc. can be used for flushing it off. So, but a person needs to have that, that sensitivity towards it, that they have to reuse the water. And now Bangalore facing this water crisis, we have to become sensitive to it.
There's no option there.
Yeah, I mean.
So Naveen, I would want to ask you. So are there, any, what do you think are the brands or the manufacturing units, what are they thinking in terms of sustainability? Would you want to tell the audience about what to look for when they are actually looking to procure these kind of fittings and, WCs and stuff like that?
I'm glad you asked that question, because as brands, what happens is everybody gets carried away, whether it's a brand or the design. So when someone sees a rain shirt, because it's fancied or because it's considered upmarket, people would like to go for a rain shirt, not because of the use of it. But a rain shirt actually wastes a lot of water, if you ask me. Similarly, a body jet. I mean, how many of us use a body jet or a rain shirt on a daily basis? So I think it's also a bit of a responsibility from a brand that they need to make sure the water is not wasted, or rather design products where the water wastage is minimalized.
Right. I think one more thing which we all always kind of deal with is bridging the gap between luxury and sustainability, because most of the times all our clients are looking for aesthetics, luxury, something which looks great. They don't really, I wouldn't say they are not wanting that, but maybe they don't know what to look for in terms of how to make it sustainable. And that is where, we come in to, inform our clients.
Sorry, I'll just add, as a part of the answer to the question that you just asked.
Sure.
The awareness that as a brand that they need to make in terms of people aware that they should not, using a rain shower or a body jet is not about luxury, is not about, they should not be selling a product just by marketing a product as luxury. I mean, if it's wastewater, we should not be using it. Simple as that. I mean, with the crisis that we are having today, I think a lot of us are not aware that certain products waste water, or rather by selecting a product that wastes water just for the sake of luxury or just for the sake of showing it is not the right way to go forward.
So now, is it the prerogative of the end user to say, I understand that this is going to be using much more water than, a tap or a small shower or actually taking bath in a bucket, so I shouldn't ask for it? Or is it the prerogative of us designers to give them this kind of your perspective of what it means and, to go here, what are the long-term effects on ecology and the ecosystem? Or is it the prerogative of the manufacturing units who basically don't manufacture it at all because we don't want to create the demand for it or, the supply for it? So what do you think, Prajwal?
Very simply, responsibly, you just can't put it on one person. All of us are in the game here, right from the manufacturer to the designer to the end user. All of us have to be on the same page here. And sustainability is luxury, right? So that is the mindset we need to start cultivating and conveying it to our clients.
Sorry to break you off. I really like that you say sustainability is just luxury.
Absolutely. So, that's the mindset shift that we need to, as designers and people who manufacture, bring into our clients, because eventually we design the market, how we want to go about it. So very important is the fact that when we are, designing spaces, bringing the sustainability factor into every element, especially when it comes to water as a crisis that we are facing, should be a norm. And, there are a lot of technologies that are there in hand, like today, a lot of brands who mix air with water, so where the water usage is brought down to 20%.
Or more than 20%.
Yeah, so that's a fantastic thing, right? And giving you a good experience at the same time. So again, end it by saying sustainability is luxury.
Absolutely. I love this point. I think all of us agree on it. And then I have one question for you. So, most of the time what we see is it's easier to convince a slightly older generation about the long-term effects. But then the young generation, when they are, looking to create their homes, a young couple who's just going to get married, or they just got married and they are now looking at creating their dream home, they have all of these in mind because of the Instagram and because of the Pinterest and, all the images that they've seen everywhere. How would you convince this kind of a generation or this kind of an age group, or how would you bring this forward to them and where would you draw the line? Because as designers, we actually have to eventually give in to what the client needs. So how would you balance that out and still try to, create a midway path for them?
See, in that scenario, I would like to keep it as very minimalistic. Like you can say, younger generation, they will not have time to maintain the bath. So I would rather go with the productivity, not the too much of into aesthetics. So they will be going to office in the early hours. So again, they'll be coming back in the late nights. So they will not have that kind of a time, that kind of a liberation to spend most of the time in the bathroom. Whatever quality time they spend, so we want to create the space in such a aesthetical way. You can bring some sculptures or some murals where you will get connected with that easily. So, and you can create one botanical small garden inside even a small pot also will make you drastically happy. So that is how I believe in the luxury. Not that you are putting some 5 lakh or 10 lakh fitting that you call it as a luxury. That is how.
Of course, this is one way to see it. But right now, I think there are many, many brands, many manufacturers who are actually putting in so much time, effort, energy in creating, these kind of fittings, which are actually, like you said, they combine air, they are much more water efficient. But of course, still, because the technology that they are still researching, building, it's very new, the cost might be slightly higher. How do you explain that to, our clients today?
I think they also understand it. Especially in Bangalore, everybody is very educated. Trust me, you explain them things, they also keep that sensitivity towards water wastage, etc. They also understand how it should be saved, and but of course, everybody still wants the luxury of an amazing toilet, and no denying they don't have the time to enjoy the toilet. So even though you add the luxury, it will be used very less, so they won't use it very frequently.
So I would like to add on this. See, luxury means it depends on their lifestyle. So first we need to understand their lifestyle, and we have to design according to that. That does make sense to call it as a luxury. So you are giving something for them when they are not using, it doesn't make sense.
I would want to add one thing. Today's date, clientele is very much educated. When you reason it out with today, whether it's the Gen Z or the older generation, when you reason it out with them, it's very easy to get them on board. So, talking from experience, family will comprise of various generations. Getting everyone on board, very simple to reason it out with them. And when you give them the repercussions of excess water usage and all of that, in fact, they are more, thrilled to adopt to technologies and products that are more energy efficient and it conserves nature. So it's sort of become very easy, in fact, for us when we bring that on the bill.
I would totally agree to that. And I think as designers, it's our responsibility to educate them and make them aware about the pros and cons of every product that they're going to use. Because most of the time when they select something, they may not be aware the pros and cons of that. As designers, people who have experience of using it or knowing it should be telling them, what needs to be chosen and what should not be chosen.
Completely agree. It's so beautiful that all of us are on the same page and all of us are kind of talking the same kind of language, that we understand what our roles and responsibilities and duties are to even, whether it is the older generation, the Gen Z or whoever, what our responsibilities are and what a big impact we are making. But, if there is a young designer who's, just passing out of college, how are there any practical ways they can keep themselves updated with even understanding or creating this perspective of what I'm doing today is going to create in the long run? Is everything being taught in colleges? Do you think that's enough? Or how do they really keep themselves updated with all that which comes with this kind of a, industry, all the kinds of extra hours we put in, it's, how crazy our schedules are. How is it possible for someone to keep up and keep this always as priority? Any one of you?
So we've learned it hard with experience, but they should, my guidance to them would be they should visit some stores, some brand stores, understand what the products are. I think the brand people are the people who will teach them, who will explain them what their products are doing, and they will understand to a great extent.
Beautiful. I really agree with this point. I think when any team member actually visits a factory of, any of these production units, I think that is when they can look at the perspective and see the nuances which that particular manufacturing unit is thinking, how it is coming, then the complete perspective of design changes. Any other point?
So I have a point. What I do is, in my firm, I see to that once a month, we have a educator session for all our interns and the staff. I think as people in the design fraternity, we should also take it up on us to try to impart that knowledge that we have learned the hard way, rightly said, the hard way, because the world was not so open when we started off. Now it's opened up and it's very easy. Information is very easy. I think it's much easier to convey now. And as designers, responsible designers, we can do that by having knowledge sharing sessions. Yeah, I think it's important to again pass on this knowledge to the next generation of designers, because that's how it's gonna keep trickling down. And I think it's always nice to go back to the younger lot and convey this to them, because it makes our life also easier as and when this keeps happening. So I think as designers, we are also accountable here.
Beautiful point. Absolutely. Getting together like this and, brainstorming together and just talking, I think that really...
Yeah, such platforms, of course. Such platforms are really great for us also, learning from each other and then imparting our knowledge. Yeah.
Absolutely. Lovely. Thank you so much for these wonderful practical pointers. I think it really helps other people also think in these directions and open up avenues which we might on our own, we might not really, see it. I want to now go into the, local artisans and, the tile masons, and how can we actually use them in bathrooms and create something which maybe people have not thought of, or something like, which is going back to the roots, but it's still very luxurious, still very contemporary looking. Have you guys done any projects like that, or do you have any ideas on these?
I think it's a continuation from what you had said earlier for another question, going back to the roots. I think these days everything is modernized, everything is modular, everything is standardized. So design is having a lesser say when it comes to products and materials, because it's about marketing, it's about sales at the end of the day, it's about numbers. So whether it's a tile, whether it's a fittings or fixtures company. So when it comes to art, customization is what holds the key. And that comes up with artisans and individual creativity. That is something which is lacking now, or rather we are going the other direction. To bring that back is something which is really great, and it's getting harder and harder day by day, if you ask me. Way back, we had something called Athangudi tiles. They were like handcrafted. Now Athangudi tiles are still there, but that's made in a company or a factory. So we are just losing that particular skill among us, is what I feel.
That is actually true. We are losing the handmade or more custom things when it comes to bathrooms. One place that I can really think of is tiles, of course. I don't think there's any other place where we get a lot of customization and uniqueness, and especially when we're talking about local artisans. Athangudi tiles is one great example, and then there are those mosaic tiles or the ones, the Turkish tiles, the blue and white pottery. So those are the only places, Moroccan tiles. Those are the only places left where we can expect the local artisans to give us some uniqueness and creativity. But of course, so today I'm here at FEMA and I saw their products. So the customization that we get here also, that we are getting with, the concrete toilets are in demand. So they have a product in concrete that can match with the toilet. So that sounds exciting, and I'm really looking forward to use those.
I have a point. So when we use marble or tiles, the person who is laying it or doing it has his own touch. So I feel that's his way of customizing it. Now, if we go to the other layer, he may not do it the same way. There will be a difference. As times have...
That is the beauty of handmade.
As times have changed, I think the change has also happened when it comes to this. So how I perceive it is the way they are laying it also adds a bit of customization.
Not just the material, even the way it's up.
Even the artisans that are involved. So I think that is bound to happen. And rolling back to the question, what you said, I think these guys define who we are as designers. Because without them, I think it would be very tough for us to actually execute our imagination and design. So with every design that we pencil it down to the paper, these guys are equally important and play with us. And their touch actually defines the beauty of the project. Whether it's the same customized factory-made tiles or the marble which we are getting, they have their own finesse to it.
But do you think today, the end client understands this, or are they coming up with just the industrial look? This is what I want, just plain things, and I'm not looking for any customizations. What is your experience been?
It's a very valid point. Do customers or end clients understand this customization? Actually, what's happened is a lot of people are shown the rosy picture, saying, the gloss, the finish, all of that. But, the thing is, when you educate to the clients and when you bring them and experience all of this, this really brings out the bigger picture. Now, when you tell them the amount of customization that is involved and the way you customize it for your specific needs, they feel very special. Saying, this is for me, this is for my son, this is for my family. That's when the acceptance starts happening. It trickles down to the fact that we have to educate it to our clients.
And sometimes what will happen is, instead of using tiles that is made with a chemical and composite material, we can go with a lot of natural elements. Like you have Kota stone, Jaisalmer stone, lot of nice stones where locally available. Like here you have a Shira, Sadrali. So where they are used in airport also, you can see that it's like giving that wow factor. So we can create something like that, and we can promote these local vendors, people, laborers, so that their livelihood will be like going on. So I would like to do like that.
Absolutely.
With my experience, the younger generation is something, they are the ones who are looking for more customization. Everybody wants a unique toilet, to be very true. I mean, this is their place of peace. So they want some uniqueness and something to say that this is just for me. So,
yeah, that's true. In the current times, we've all kind of gotten a lot more requests of the bathrooms to look more spa-like. The hammam, from Morocco, or, some other experience.
jacuzzis and...
Exactly. So what is your take on redefining the spatial spaces in bathrooms? How do you think, how much is it really possible? How much of it is really practical? And how do you really execute it if, to create that kind of experience for the clients today? Anand?
The space should be like well designed. See, the experience what we are creating for them, we had to sit with them and we had to discuss a lot, like minute details. See, as I said, every person using like bathroom will be different kind of requirements. So we had to sit with them and we had to understand their requirement and we had to design according to it. It's not like that we are putting one pot on just one sink. It's not about the bathroom. So every placement, every detailing is like go hand in hand with the designer and the end user. That is how.
Naveen, would you want to add?
So your question is, how do we make the bathrooms more interesting?
How are you redefining the spatial spaces in bathrooms too?
So I would say it's not just to the just with the bathrooms, but rather if you bring in the natural elements in, whether it's a sunlight, the green spaces, that'll transform that space completely, and that holds good for bathrooms too. The moment you have natural sunlight coming in, a skylight in the bathroom, or a garden, that will completely transform that space. I mean, we need not need a large bathroom for that. Even for a small bathroom, we can have a small planter box with a skylight on top, and that'll transform that space completely.
And one more element other than the light and plants would be the ventilation.
True, of course.
I mean, a nicely ventilated toilet or something that makes it more spa-like.
And more of a minimalistic designs.
There's one thing which I strongly feel is it's important to tell no. So a lot of times clients do come up with very poppy, crazy ideas. Maybe out of obligation, we may agree, but somehow I feel that it's very important to tell no. Hey guys, I think this is where we need to draw a line, where beyond this is impractical, right? And once you start doing that, right, so that's when the spaces also can be brought down to a more refined space. And obviously, the natural elements have no substitute for it.
You cannot beat those.
So adding on to what, the point that you brought up of saying no to the client or drawing boundaries with the client, okay, I think this is something which all of us always struggle with. I think as we gain more experience, we kind of get more confident to say that no to the client. But if there's something which we would want to, tell the younger generation, what are the major things that they should look for and say, okay, even if I'm scared to say a no to the client because this is maybe one of my, just my third client. What if I don't get him back? Blah, 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 blah. Because they want to build their business and stuff like that, right? So what are the major things that they should keep in mind, and how can they get the confidence to say no maybe earlier on in their own profession?
There's no rocket science to it. I think sometimes a designer in you should take the forefront and tell, guys, this is not what we want to do. This is not where I want to picture this space, as, right? So that's when, you should let your designer in you, take the forefront. But yes, say it with a smile on your face, saying, guys, it's not happening. Let's do it like this.
Give them better ideas to deviate them from the previous.
I would like to add what you said. I mean, when we are passionate about the design we do, I think no will come automatically.
By the experience.
Absolutely. Lovely. I'm so glad, to have come here, being able to host all of you with all these insightful discussions that we had about technology, sustainability. I don't think we left any major pointer where we did touch upon, even, businesses, how we ourselves are holding our prerogatives as designers in the society. Thank you so much, each one of you, for being here. Thank you. I am really, really grateful for all of you, and thank you, FEMA, for this opportunity, for bringing all of us together. Thank you so much.